With our summer trip rapidly approaching, it was important that we get a fix in place as soon as possible.
One that looks like one of the hydraulic lines.
And this is a quick recap with the fix that we ultimately came up with.
The threads are clear. They're clean. I can feel them. They're not jagged or anything.
Up inside.
I gotta take the angle off of it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because otherwise I can't rotate it into the bottom of the hydraulic pump.
By removing a couple bolts that were blocking the fitting's rotation, I was able to get it squarely and more deeply screwed back into the aluminum hydraulic pump housing with a new O-ring and reattach the huge hydraulic hose from the blue reservoir. I then replaced the 3 hydraulic filters in the reservoir and finally refilled the canister with fluid. My temporary quartzite fix held until I got back to the bird barn. But then it started leaking with a static leak out of that fitting shortly thereafter, so it was apparent that a permanent fix needed to be made. So I once again pulled the fluid and set about removing the pump so that I could have it looked at by a local hydraulic shop. To get at everything, I spun off the tall fuel filter, then I removed the suction hose and the leaking 45-degree fitting, the 2 high-pressure hydraulic hoses, and finally a small oil supply hose to the front gearing case. After all the hoses and wiring bundles were tied up and out of the way, I pulled the front and rear support brackets and finally concentrated on removing the 3 bolts that attached the pump to the engine. With the 3 nuts removed and the pump supported with one hand, I was able to get the pump out. Hydraulic Pumps in the Central Phoenix was able to drill and tap the aluminum hydraulic pump housing so that it would accept an oversized threaded 45-degree fitting with the same hose connection. The cost to do all of this was $675 out the door, which I thought quite reasonable, since the pump would have cost at least $2,000 if one could have been found. With the pump reinstalled and all the fittings attached, the last step was to refill the oil reservoir and start the motor after priming it. Now this year's summer trip can be enjoyed without worrying about being left stranded in the middle of nowhere.